Bare footsteps move quietly across the floor, setting the stage with an eerie sense of suspense. A young girl appears shocked, her face filled with guilt and fear, as if realizing something dreadful is closing in. A desperate voice echoes within, urging her to run, calling her name with urgency. A pale hand reaches forward, its trembling fingers emerging from the darkness, while the girl's eyes widen with dread, caught between helplessness and regret. From within the darkness, a terrifying figure emerges, her face hidden beneath disheveled strands of long hair. Her body is draped in a white kimono stained with blood, a haunting mark of tragedy. A bony hand stretches forward, stiff fingers reaching as if to grasp anyone who dares stand before her. Her shadowed gaze radiates a menacing aura, as though dragging others into the same grim fate she once endured. Inside the dimly lit old room, a schoolgirl stands trembling, face to face with the woman in a blood-stained white kimono moving closer. A young man sitting helplessly on the floor stares in panic, his breath ragged as he desperately urges her to run. Before she can react, a pale hand slowly reaches toward her face, its cold fingers looming like the shadow of death. The girl stares in confusion, while faint whispers of apology linger in the air, heavy with guilt and despair. In a sudden motion, the pale hand grips the girl's head tightly, the dreadful sound of cracking bones echoing through the air. Her eyes widen in terror as the cold fingers press harder against her face, trapping her in their merciless hold. His eyes widen, breath ragged, his face frozen in shock and helplessness. In his mind, only one bitter truth echoes. He was powerless to do anything to stop the horror unfolding before him. Satsuki's lifeless body lies sprawled on the floor, her school uniform disheveled, eyes frozen wide in a vacant stare. The life that once filled her vanished in an instant, leaving behind an oppressive silence that smothers the room. As the lingering darkness hovers, only one grim truth remains: Satsuki was killed. 6 years earlier, in 1976, somewhere in Kyuushuu, the quiet town lay under the looming shadow of the mountains. The full moon hung in the sky, casting a pale glow over the still night. Festival lanterns swayed gently, signaling a traditional celebration near the shrine. The sound of a child's footsteps echoed along the path, approaching the towering white torii gate at the forest's edge, where a dark childhood story was about to begin. Amid the vibrant atmosphere of the night festival, a young boy named Keita Kobayashi, a fourth grader, runs ahead excitedly, calling out to his older brother. Glowing lanterns light up the streets as crowds revel in the traditional celebration. Not far behind, Akio Kobayashi, his sixth-grade brother, follows along, reminding him that they must first stop to buy some festival snacks. Festival music echoes through the air as rows of people in yukata dance joyfully under the lantern light. Keita, full of excitement, tries to pull his older brother into joining the dance, but Akio refuses, choosing instead to head toward the food stalls, more interested in the treats being sold. He dashes ahead, leaving Keita momentarily behind, staring in confusion. Keita, lost in thought amidst the festival crowd, turns his head when he notices an old woman seated on a bench near a traditional building. A gentle yet mysterious smile plays across her face as she lifts her hand, beckoning him closer. In a soft tone, she calls for him to come near. Though the festival music and dancing continue in the distance, the atmosphere around the old woman feels different, quiet, secretive, and strangely compelling, as if drawing Keita into something unknown. The old woman begins moving her hands gracefully, mimicking the motions of a traditional dance. Keita watches with curiosity before shyly attempting to copy the movements. The woman smiles warmly, encouraging him with a look of approval. Slowly, Keita begins to enjoy himself, his face lighting up as he follows along with the rhythm, a small laugh escaping his lips as if he had discovered a simple joy within the festival night. With excitement, Keita urges the old woman to join in the dance, encouraging her to move not just her hands but also her feet. A warm smile spreads across her face, though her eyes seem to hide a deeper secret. She responds gently, as if hesitant, admitting that it would be a problem for her. Beneath the warm glow of lanterns, a young girl dressed in a floral yukata approaches with a kind smile. Her gentle voice reaches out to the old woman as if offering her support. With calm assurance, the old woman addresses her as Satsuki, asking her to teach Keita how to dance. Satsuki happily agrees, turning her bright gaze toward Keita, her eyes filled with curiosity as she asks his name and whether he had come alone. Keita shyly introduces himself, mentioning that he came with his older brother who is still busy enjoying the festival. The girl smiles warmly, introducing herself as Satsuki Shinomiya. With a kind demeanor, she offers to demonstrate the dance once, asking Keita to watch closely. Beneath the glowing lanterns, Satsuki begins to move gracefully, her figure appearing to float into the dark night. Though she should have been dancing the same way as everyone else, her movements feel different, strange yet captivating, carrying an unsettling beauty within each motion. Beneath the shimmering lanterns, Satsuki moves gracefully, each motion of her hands flowing as if she were dancing between reality and dreams. Her calm smile and gentle gaze make the dance stand out, unlike any other. To Keita, the sight feels extraordinary, as though he is witnessing something sacred and irreplaceable. The dance is divine, dreamlike, and mesmerizing, capturing him completely, leaving him unable to look away. Keita gazes with wide, sparkling eyes, his cheeks flushed as he finds himself instantly captivated by Satsuki's presence. In just a moment, her appearance had already left an unforgettable mark on him. Her gentle smile, glowing beneath the lantern light, became the beginning of their meeting, a simple yet eternal memory that would remain with Keita forever. The old woman smiles with satisfaction, praising Keita for learning the dance so well. The festival bustles on, with the aroma of takoyaki filling the air. Satsuki returns, brimming with energy, inviting Keita to dance once more as the song Tankobushi begins to play again. Keita happily agrees, while from a distance his brother Akio watches, cotton candy in hand. His eyes widen in surprise as he recognizes the girl with Keita, Shinomiya. From the festival stage, Satsuki glances at Akio and asks if Keita is his younger brother. Akio gives a brief nod while Keita beams proudly at the praise for his dancing. Satsuki smiles gently, remarking that Keita has become quite good, which excites him even more. Cheerfully, Keita offers to teach his older brother how to dance, but Akio casually declines. Soon, the ringing bell signals the start of the final Tankobushi, calling everyone to join in the joyful dance beneath the lantern-lit night. The next morning, the shrine stood quietly under the gentle light of the sun. Small birds fluttered around the courtyard, adding a peaceful touch to the scene. Keita and Akio returned, still excited after the previous night's festival. With bright smiles, they greeted the elderly shrinekeeper, asking about Satsuki as they wished to continue learning the dance. The woman kindly replied, directing them toward the main hall where Satsuki was likely to be. The two boys thanked her and hurried off, their hearts filled with anticipation and curiosity. On their way to the main hall, Akio turns to Keita and asks if he knows who the old woman truly is. Keita replies that she isn't just any grandmother, she is someone important at the Shinomiya shrine. The boys' words echo the stories they had overheard from adults. Shizu, the elderly woman of Shinomiya shrine, was renowned throughout the shrine community in Kyuushuu. When she married into the shrine, her skills as a priestess even surpassed those of the former head priest. Yet what set her apart was her extraordinary destiny. She was said not to have married the priest, but to have married God himself. People called her the Divine Bride. With sparkling eyes, Keita exclaimed how amazing the old woman was, then dashed down the steps the moment he spotted Satsuki in the distance. His face lit up with excitement, while Akio observed with a calmer demeanor, though his heart was equally captivated. They briefly discussed the shrine's main and branch families, concepts Keita didn't fully grasp at the time. But to them, none of that mattered. What stood out was Satsuki's radiant smile. That smile kept Keita coming back to the shrine, and even Akio couldn't hide that he felt the same way. A year after their first meeting, before his very eyes, his older brother had grown closer to Satsuki, the two of them beginning to date as they entered middle school. Childishly, Keita could only cheer them on, playfully urging his brother to hold her hand, even shouting for them to kiss. Akio flushes with embarrassment, clenching his fist in frustration as Keita's teasing continues. Meanwhile, Satsuki blushes as well, trying to calm things down while scolding Keita for his mischief. Yet the laughter in the air was only fleeting, a fragile moment before everything changed. Just days before the second Bon dance since Keita had first met Satsuki, a creeping darkness began to settle over their town. 3 days before the Bon dance festival, the atmosphere in town began to shift. At home, the children were asked to deliver a circulation board to the neighbors while being reminded to stay cautious. Rumors spread that wild dogs had become increasingly active, now even appearing within the town. As Keita and Akio made their way outside, they noticed a crowd gathering near the shrine, with even a patrol car on the scene. Keita and Akio approached Satsuki, asking what had happened. With a worried expression, Satsuki explains that yesterday the Hunters Association went into the mountains to cull the wild dogs, but none of them have returned since. The children are stunned, realizing it has been an entire day without news. An anxious woman pleads with the shrine priest, fearing for her husband who was among the hunters. Though the villagers believe the men are experienced in the mountains, grim possibilities remain: an attack by a pack of wild dogs or perhaps an accident that prevented their return. Satsuki asks her uncle, the head priest of Shinomiya Shrine, how many people had gone into the mountains. With a grave expression, the priest reveals that 6 men had entered, yet none had returned. Even the officers sent to search for them have not come back down. Keita stares anxiously, fear tightening his chest as he wonders what could have happened if even the searchers themselves failed to return. The tense atmosphere erupts as the officers finally return from the mountains. Their bodies are exhausted, breaths ragged, faces pale as if they had witnessed something beyond comprehension. Villagers rush toward them with questions, one woman desperately asking about her husband. The officer's response chills everyone to the core: the hunting party is dead. With trembling voices, they reveal the dreadful truth. Every single man sent into the mountains had perished, not a single one survived. In the silence of the forest, a horrifying sight is revealed. The missing hunters' bodies hang stiffly from the trees, their necks bound tight as if executed by an unseen force. They dangle high above the ground, each face frozen in a grim expression. This was no animal attack, nor an accident. It was unmistakably a curse or a malevolent power beyond human comprehension. The following day, the village was overrun with officials. Police cars and ambulances crowded the shrine as officers busied themselves with the aftermath of the dreadful incident. A police line was set up, sealing off the path into the forest where the tragedy had taken place. From behind the yellow tape, young Keita stood frozen, his wide eyes fixed on the now forbidden trail. In his heart, he realized this was not just a story whispered by adults or a fleeting rumor. He had truly lived through a horrifying event, one that would forever remain etched in his memory. The hunters' deaths were only the beginning of a series of bizarre incidents that plagued the town. Bodies began to appear hanging in unnatural places, on traffic lights, on school buildings, in spaces where such horrors should never exist. Whispers of the town's cursed past grew louder, as if vengeful spirits had begun to exact their revenge. Monks were summoned to perform purification rituals, massive flames rising in an effort to drive out the encroaching darkness. Yet, behind the chants and prayers, lingered shadows of violence, men gripping sharp blades as though preparing for something far more terrifying. Keita vowed to recount everything as clearly as he could remember, the beginning of a nightmare that would never leave his memory.